Welcome back to another amazing episode of Diet Rebellion. Today, we have a first. We are recording with two guests instead of one. We are met by Jillian Harbarcuk and Jess Krakow, two incredible coaches that you'll learn very early on in this episode. I both looked up to when I started transitioning from group coaching into one-on-one. And I looked up to them because of the size of their business. And what that means to me is they clearly are two ladies that know how to produce incredible results for their clients, or else they wouldn't have had the opportunity to grow. In today's episode, you're going to see exactly why they are so incredible, and you're going to learn countless techniques that you can start applying today in terms of your mind, in terms of your food, your habits, and your exercise. So enjoy today's podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome to Diet Rebellion, the podcast that's here to help you break free from the chains of dieting and finally take control of your health, strength, and confidence. I'm Joe Hoye, your host and the founder of Diet Detox. After transforming the lives of thousands of women over 40 who have been trapped in the endless diet cycle, I'm here to show you a new way, one that focuses on eating for your body's needs, restoring your metabolism, and rebuilding your strength for life. Get ready for real, no bullshit conversations, expert insights, and actionable strategies that empower you to live diet-free and thrive. It's time to stop restricting and start rebuilding. Join the rebellion. Your journey starts now. The first three-person podcast in the history of Diet Rebellion. And I feel like this is going to be a fun one because before I hit record, we were already kind of going on rants and having fun, but also being logical in terms of how all three of us coached. Jillian Harbichuk and Jess Krakow, welcome to Diet Rebellion.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. So let's dive in. I mean, Jill, I know that I told you in the beginning, like you and I have kind of been around the same circles in the past. I don't know if you've heard of me because I was the little fish when I joined NCI and you were on top of things. And so I was like, wow, this is the level that I want to get to. You've always had a really amazing business, which means you can clearly create amazing results, is what that means to me. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how you help, and we'll go from there.
Oh my gosh. So I will also say before I give you spiel, and I kind of mentioned this to you, that it's funny that I started this business, but as soon as I started this business, and I was fortunate that it grew very quickly from the beginning, I was like, I know that I need another person in this. And I haven't talked about this, but Jessica and I rode the bus in grade school together. And instantly when somebody told me, a mentor, like, you have to hire somebody else, I was like, Jess. And my husband's like, well, how do you know she's going to say yes? And I was like, because I'm not going to let her say no. I was like, she has to do this. So she's been with me from the beginning, and it's been really cool to like bring our backgrounds together in health and fitness and just evolve as a company and our approach and what we do. It's so different now, but back in 2014, so I had my son in 2013, and then like 2014 to 2016, I was in the bodybuilding world, and just like everyone else, I gained a bunch of weight postpartum, and I was like, how do I lose this quickly? Cool. Put me in a bikini on stage. That's great motivation. I definitely got sucked in and thought that was the picture of health, right? Mm-hmm. Being lean and having muscles and whatever. But, I went through several years of disordered eating and just body dysmorphia and all of these evolutions that I had to go through as a human and as a fitness professional. And now, I started Fueled kind of on the side. Actually, it wasn't Fueled back when we started, but I started it as like a side hustle from being in medical device sales. COVID rolled around. I was being paid to be home. And I was like, you know what? COVID will be around for a little bit. I'll start doing some online stuff. And of course, everything online really boomed. And I think there was a little bit of luck in my timing of everything for this business. But obviously, this is 100% what I'm meant to be doing. But it's just evolved over the last 5 years. And now we really put a huge emphasis on, we work with women specifically. We definitely have some male clients, but we really work with women, and like metabolic adaptation, I guess, is really like a true foundation of our program and who we help. We, I think, marry so well what is missing from Western medicine, what is missing from functional, and the trainers and professionals who only focus on physique. And I really pride myself on the education that we've built as a team. I really, like, we just had a client say this morning, like, we want to be all in one. I want to be everyone's like one-stop shop to solve all of those problems from like health and the mental side and behavioral and physique and hormones and gut health. Like, we really wanted to bring all of that together. Jessica has been a major factor in this, because I'm pitching her these crazy ideas at midnight some nights, and I'm like, hey, this is our next step, we got to do it. And she's like, all right, like, tell me what to do next.
So, or I give you pushback,
or
I'm like the person who's like, time out, let's think about this.
Voice of reason a little.
We very much had different backgrounds. Like, I was an in-person trainer. I knew nothing about online coaching. I was certified through Precision Nutrition as a nutrition coach, but it was really just so that I could better help my in-person clients. I had no interest in the online space. But I think it's good, because I think both of us take this whole person approach where it's like, time out. Let's do let's get the low-hanging fruit, not the low-hanging fruit, but let's turn over the biggest rocks first, right? To really make a big bang for people's health. And then the physique stuff happens as a side effect, right? And then their symptoms start to feel better, even though maybe they thought it was hormonal. Or if in 4 to 6 months, those hormonal or gut related symptoms don't start to improve, we can run functional tests and then do more specific protocols from there. So yeah, it's really like solid strength programming meets nutrition coaching meets functional, like preventative medicine, really.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, that's kind of what we talked about before I hit record is, look, we're really smart. And when I say we, I'm talking about you two. We're really smart. We can do the test. We can dive deep, but we're not doing that right off the bat. Like, we're doing the simple shit that creates a result across the board for everybody. And then if we don't see that create a result, but you're honestly doing it and we can see it, then we'll dive into the harder, more complicated shit. But real quick, why don't we uncover what the simple stuff is? Because I think that for us three, we know like the back of our hand, but Gen Pop maybe overcomplicates this far too often and doesn't even know what the simple stuff is. So what is that?
So for a lot of the women, well, protein is going to be number one, adding protein. But for a lot of the women that we work with, I think adding food is a big thing that nobody thinks that that's going to be a solution, right? We think, oh no, I need to eat less or I need to move more. Chronically dieting or chronically restricting different food groups, chronically yo-yoing and losing weight and then gaining it back. All of these things are adapting your metabolism over the course of time. And just by adding nutrients and specifically adding healthy calories, a lot of times it gives our body a break to say like, oh, we're safe. We're not in a stressed out state right now. So now our things can start to work the way they're supposed to, right? Our body starts to kind of heal itself. So we always start with a muscle building phase first. So we're adding strength, we're adding protein, we're adding whole food nutrients. And we're not restricting anything, by the way. We're never saying you can't also have your ice cream or your French fries every now and then or whatever. But we're doing that while we are steadily increasing calories and adapting whatever every woman understands the concept of a plateau, right? Everybody's dieted and then they are like, I don't know why this doesn't work, right? In the same way that you've dieted in the past and your body has adapted, you can adapt it back up, right? So that's what we usually spend our first several months with each client on.
I love it.
Slingshot, right? You got to pull the slingshot back for a second. You know, everyone's always like, more. You got to do more. You got to eat less. You got to go harder. Not enough willpower, whatever. And I'm always like, hey, it's a slingshot. Like, you've been dieting your entire adult life. What is 6 months of you building some muscle in the grand scheme of things at this point? What else do you have to lose? Otherwise, you're just going to be dieting for 6 more months. So I'm like, this is the slingshot. This is the phase that is going to launch you forward into optimal health, peak physique, and just, we always talk, Jess and I are always like at the word balance, but like, it really is like your own definition of it, right? Of like really finding that peace within yourself and that confidence and that happiness in your life. And I truly feel like going through that really hard, air quotes, hard, like mental phase first, when you're going through muscle building and doing the opposite of everything you've ever been told about dieting, it creates this resilience, but it also creates this confidence in yourself, because you can have data to support, okay, these inputs are actually getting me what I want. Obviously, just being in the gym, building muscle, doing all of that is so powerful. And, you know, it's really cool to see the way that our clients evolve. Not that I think relationships should end, but like, clients will like get a divorce, get a new job, move across the country when they're in our program. And obviously we don't market to that, but those things are really powerful.
Big changes are happening. Yeah. Well, and it's like, yeah, the unintended, and it's intended on our end, but they don't realize the work that is happening underneath. And then they'll tell us like, whoa, this is crazy. We just had a family vacation and I was able to eat and I didn't gain weight when I came back, or I wasn't scared of bread for the first time, or like I got to enjoy ice cream with my kids and I wasn't obsessing about how many calories it was. Like these little life things that are just quality of life, they're realizing like, oh wow, this actually works. And now they have this mental freedom. They're focused on their inches instead of their weight, right? They're texting me, oh my gosh, do I really want to cut calories? Because I don't want to lose all the muscle I've just built, because they're like, wow, I'm lean. My pants fit better, even though the scale's higher because it's muscle mass, right? So we're just trying to educate as we go so that they understand the why too. So that when they leave us, it's not like, I don't know. I get hung up on coaching where it's an accountability thing, right? We're not here to be their cheerleader or their accountability buddy. Like they could get anybody for that, quite frankly. Our job is to really educate them so that when they're done with us, they don't ever need us again. They know how to do this stuff for themselves and it's just part of their life. It's easy at that point.
Right. Yeah. The goal is never to keep somebody forever. It's to show them that they know how to do it forever. And I love what you said about, yes, like obviously we're creating scale wins, we're creating body composition wins and health wins. But I have a really hard time with this too inside of my program, because while that's all true, we'll also have the same shit, right? Like I don't want relationships to end unless they should, right? And so like somebody will end a friendship, a parent like daughter relationship sometimes if it's necessary, a marriage if it's necessary. And like then you watch everything else fall into place. And no, we'll never market to it, but it's like that unintended side effect that happens just by becoming confident in yourself and working through the mindset pieces as well. One thing I want to go back to, because you said you do something very similar to me. You take them from a very low calorie intake and kind of bring them up. But what I think is rewarding is when you bring them back into a deficit to lose weight, and that deficit is still higher than when they came to you.
Yes.
Right? Do you guys see the same thing?
Yeah, it's a huge win. And it's funny because usually that first deficit, like, people will sign up with us for 6 months to start. Most clients who graduate from working with us, they're with us for a couple of years. But in that 6 month window, we're like, oh, how much muscle can we really build? How much can we really optimize in that short window, right? We're doing as much as we can in 3 or 4 months. And then when we go into that first deficit, would I have liked to build them even longer so that we don't have to cut that low? Yes. But oftentimes they're like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to eat this little. I can't believe that I did this before. And again, it's higher than whatever they were previously plateaued at when they came to us. So yeah, it's pretty cool watching that whole journey and then being like, I can't believe I used to eat like this all the time.
And I frame that to like incoming clients. I'm like, listen, in a perfect world, you're going to eat 2000 plus calories, lift some weights, and find your inner peace for the next 12 months. But we know by the time somebody inquires with us, they're like, I need to lose weight yesterday,
Yep.
right? They're like back against the wall, send help, white flag. So I tell clients, listen, we're going to condense this and we're going to move as quick as we can. And I know that we need to earn your trust, right? Because you're skeptical of a lot of things, understandably. Oh, I love when we go into that deficit, but my favorite part is the reverse after that first deficit when they're like, cool, all mercy to you. Do what you need to do. Take me as high as you want.
We'll build for a whole year.
I get it. Whatever. Do whatever you do in your process now. So when we earn that trust with them, it's really cool when they start to map out their dieting phases in their head and, hey, I want a deficit, but I have this vacation coming up, or my career is really crazy in the spring and I don't know if that's the best time, right? Like they start spitting it back to us and we're like, cool, we're doing our job,
It's the best, right? Because now they're starting to understand the benefit of it and the why behind they need to live that way for the rest of their life. Because it's really easy for them to compare, like, hey, I came from this shitty state of quality of life. And maybe they didn't recognize it at the time because they've been there for so long that it was their normal. But when you show them a new normal and like how amazing life can be, they're in, which is amazing. Jess, I'm curious for you because before I pressed record, you're like, you know what I'm really big on is strength training. And I think that we all are. But one thing you said that stuck out to me is like, I like really getting deep on strength training because so many people write ineffective workouts. And so talk to me about that. I think our audience is definitely going to be one that has experienced the ineffective workouts for sure, but they'll also benefit from learning for themselves. What can they do to make it so the time in the gym is actually getting some bang for their buck?
Yeah. And I think sometimes, so there's always a why behind it, right? But it's very similar to what we just talked about nutritionally, where our body adapts. to whatever inputs we give it, our body adapts, right? So somebody might do some body pump class 5 days a week and wow, I lose weight. And then at some point that stops working, right? Maybe you go to Orange Theory classes or whatever the modality is, right? You start it and you're like, no, this used to work for me. And it's like, okay, but it's not still working, right? So when we're approaching some sort of programming that's going to be effective, it needs to have a system and a reason behind it and include strategic phases and strategic progression. So a lot of everybody will talk about progressive overload when it comes to working out, right? We need to get stronger over the course of time, add weight, add reps, add depth, whatever the case may be. But within that too, I think we need to look behaviorally at what's realistic for somebody to do for the rest of their life. So like we work with a lot of women who have families, who have full-time jobs. It's not like they're not training like a bodybuilder who has 6 days a week to go to the gym and do 2 hours of cardio and this and that. So what we want to do is do the least to elicit results. So for most of our clients, that looks like 3 or 4 lifts a week. A lot of times I prioritize full body programming over body part splits. So maybe we're doing some big push, some big pull, some big squat, some big hinge a couple times a week so that we're hitting the big muscles and the big functions, not just isolating muscles, right? But we want to be able to get up and down from the floor for the rest of our life or reach overhead in cabinets. So we're trying to hit muscles and functions without having to spend as much time in the gym as you might if you were isolating every single muscle group, right? So it might only look like maybe 6 exercises when you're at the gym, but you're back squatting, you're deadlifting really heavy, you're taking maybe 2 or 3 minutes between each set, which most of these women are like, what am I supposed to do with myself? But that's prepping you to be able to actually push your heaviest during that next set, right? So we're prioritizing compound lifts. We absolutely start with more like basics when it comes to form and muscle connection. Like a lot of women have a tough time connecting well with their glutes. A lot of people tend to have some forward shoulder round from sitting at computers or on their phones. So usually our first couple phases are really like, hey, can we learn to move well first? And then after that, okay, now we're going to get ready to go into this part of the gym that maybe you've been intimidated by before, but we're going to walk you through it. And we'll do Zoom calls with our clients so that they feel comfortable. We'll do movement assessments with them. We're not just like throwing the movements, obviously, but that tends to be kind of what it looks like. Again, I'm certainly not anti-cardio, right? Like cardio is good for our health, but a lot of women who are coming to us are overstressed, under eating, and doing too much. So a really easy way to send those recovery signals is to do less. So we're actually pulling back some of that intensity, prioritizing how heavy are we lifting during each set rather than how hard does a workout feel? How high can I get my heart rate? Like I do not care about how many calories you burn during a workout. I care like what's the adaptation after that lift.
Hey, it's your host, Joe Hoye. Quick break from the show because I want to share something I think you're going to love. If you've been feeling stuck with your weight loss and want a clear, personalized path forward, I made something exactly for that. It's my free Fix Your Fat Loss quiz. This quick quiz is going to help you pinpoint exactly what state your body is in right now. But even better, it reveals the most effective next steps for your unique situation. No more guesswork and no more one-size-fits-all advice. It's time to start losing weight in a way that finally feels doable. So head over to quiz.hoyfit.com or click the very first link inside the show notes to take your free Fix Your Fat Loss quiz today and get going with real, lasting results instantly. Now, let's get back to the show. Yeah, and so obviously you're putting progressive overload on top of all that to make sure they're really getting better every time. What I think people miss about exercise is they don't realize that exercise actually makes us worse. Like every time you get in the gym, you break your body down, you tear your muscles up, and the only thing that makes it better is recovery. And so the only way you're ever going to get better is if you recover more than you exercise. And it sounds to me like your clients are similar to mine, like they're breaking themselves down more than they're building themselves up. And so they've basically, over a period of months, years, or a decade, just dug themselves a massive hole that they now have to get out of.
Yeah, I mean, we take clients through hormonal protocols. Some of the biggest things that women come to us for are menopause, hypothyroid, and cortisol dysregulation of some fashion, right? And then we look and, we have clients going to Orange Theory 6 or 7 days a week or doing Beachbody twice a day. And we will actually pull as hard as we go on strength training, and if you said say one word on this podcast for everyone to walk away with, I'd be like muscle, and we could leave. But that's our focus. But for a second, that's what we are doing, right? Is like wiping that slate clean and overcoming those adaptations. So in those more in-depth, granular, functional, hormonal protocols, we're pulling all lifting for a second because we know that's a good stressor, but we're like, hey, let's pull everything back. And then we're going to inject back in the most important things, which are strength training, progressive overload, proper recovery, nervous system regulation. And it's a balancing act. And I'm always hesitant to say those things because I don't want people to hear this episode, walk away and say, I need to stop lifting because my cortisol's high, because that's the last
not lifting effectively enough right now.
Stressor, right? So like there are way other, I tell everyone, of course, we can't quit our job. We can't leave our kids on somebody's front porch. Those are stressors we can't control, but we can inject parasympathetic activity. We can inject, like you said, more recovery to balance it out. And that's really, I think that's the most important lesson women need. I think especially just like the generations that we're working with right now, we and ourselves included, right? We are like, go, 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 work hard, grind, no chill, no rest, sleep when you're dead. And it's
even if you feel like you're resting, you're staring at a screen all day, there's constant stimulation in our brain. So it's like, even if somebody is like, oh, well, I'm relaxed. I'm like, okay, what's your sleep routine look like? Well, I'm scrolling TikTok until 11 or midnight, right? It's like, we are inundated with stressors and like sympathetic nervous system inputs. So a lot of times we will add in yin yoga, recovery yoga, guided meditation, the stuff that our clients are like, this is the most boring thing I've ever done. And I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, but that probably means you need it more, right?
Yeah.
Like we need actually for your brain to be able to chill out for a second and say, oh, okay, we're safe. We're not in this chronically stressed state.
If people can't sit with themselves, that's the biggest red flag that they need to just chill out. And that's coming from a guy that usually can't sit with himself.
And all three of us, right? Like to be successful in what we do, I feel like we're all like, okay, I want professional development all the time. I want to do this. I want to do that. Like we have all gone through phases of being over caffeinated or underslept or whatever. But it's like, yeah, that is like one of the most important things that our body could really just thrive on. Our body does a lot of things to heal itself when it's in the right conditions.
I'll tell you what, when I do actually listen to that, and I do try my best to do it, is like either meditate before bed or wake up and meditate before I start my day. Those days that I do that go so much better. Like yes, I lost 15 minutes of my time. Boo-hoo. But the rest of the time that I'm working or working out or communicating with somebody goes so much better, so much more effective, so much more efficient. And so, yeah, I mean, we get pushback all the time. It's like, hey, your next thing is to, yeah, exactly. It's like bullshit. You don't have time. Like, show me your free time.
You add another hour of running because you want to lose a pound, but you don't have time for this. It's like, well, what's more important is the question, or what's your real priority, honestly?
It's just the environment too, right? Most women, I would say, I could probably safely say all that we haven't worked with, don't associate nervous system regulation with getting the physique we want, getting the confidence we want. That's just because we're not taught that, right? Weight Watchers can't sell nervous system regulation forever because we regulate everybody. Everyone knows what to do. And now we don't make a gazillion dollars anymore, right? So I think women just don't see that connection. And that's a lot of times what we're opening their eyes to. I'm like, listen, entertain me for 2 weeks, right? Do this 5-minute breath work or meditation at the end of your workday and tell me what's your communication, your interaction like with your kids after that 2 weeks in the evenings versus when you don't and you're working and you're on your laptop and you're on your phone and you're running around scrambling. I'm like, go hug a tree, go touch grass, go be bored, do cartwheels. I don't care. I think we lose that like little like zest and joy for life. And some people probably perceive Jess and I, especially when we're together, very like silly, goofy, whatever. But it's because we just like have fun. And we stop doing that at some point, I think, as adults a lot of the time.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So we talked about the simple stuff. We talked about the complicated shit. We've torn apart exercise and also being with yourself. I think one of the last places I want to look is mindset. And I know you guys are just as big on that as I am.
We have a unique approach to mindset.
Yeah, let's hear it because I feel like what I talk about mindset is not super spoken about, but I'd love to hear your take.
So the word mindset
Sure.
But it's because there's so many coaches out there who are like, I'm a mindset coach. Like, let's just visualize our best life. And again,
Affirmations.
I'm not against those things as tools, right? But I want to know the why behind everything that I am suggesting for a client. And I want us to give tangible action items that have like, this is why this is actually effective psychologically or behavior change wise or whatever. I'm not just, again, I think if you ask my clients, they would say I'm very motivating and positive, but I am not somebody's cheerleader. Like my job is to actually give them tangible tools. And then we have follow-ups. How's this going? Right. It's almost like a controlled experiment week to week. And then we see how their body adapts and we see how it feels in their life. I just don't dig because there's so many coaches out there. Again, I know you're not one of these coaches. I know there are so many coaches out there who just take it to such a fluffy level where it's like action and work also needs to accompany these mindset changes, right? But the mindset changes, it's really us looking at what's a client's roadblock. Okay, can we set up systems to make it easier on future you? Or can we eliminate that roadblock somehow? Like we're almost problem solving together until they start to think differently or they start to notice their own wins because we're helping them make those connections and identify it each week in their check-ins. Things like that. Is that a good summary, Jill?
I think one thing you just said that sticks out to me massively is helping them think differently, right? Because every single thing that we do stems from our thoughts, right? Our thoughts control our actions create our outcomes. And so when I think about mindset, that's my thought process. It's like, how can I take this person or myself and change the way that they or I think about everything in life?
And it's like behaviorally too, right? If I have somebody that comes to me and they're like, listen, I can't help myself. I'm a late night eater or I'm a night owl. I just like to stay up late. And I'm like, you're not any of those things. You think those things, but you're not those things. And those are the types of patterns that we have to unravel. But we're approaching it like Justin for more of like an actionable behavioral approach. I love affirmations. We use them. I love visualization. We use that. We use all of those tools, but we use them very intentionally. And I think the most important component that we do from a behavioral approach as coaches is align the correct expectations. I don't care if you only want to work one day a week and the rest you want to garden. That's fine. As long as you know what 6 days of gardening and 1 day of working out is going to get you on the other side of this. As long as we're on the same page, we're good. But when we start to put the ball in their court and we're like, hey, you can blame whatever you want, but this is the data, this is what your inputs look like, and this is why your outputs are here. And if they align their expectations behaviorally, they're like, oh shit, I need to step up, right? So one of the questions we just added to our check-in form, which is so funny. I just told Jess, I'm like, how do we obviously we have this conversation with clients, but I was like, why are we not just asking this? Is what kind of coaching do you need from me today? Do you need top love? Do you need me to be like, get your shit together and take me to this more elevated version of myself? Or do you need a little grace this week? Was this week so hard that you're like, listen, cut me some slack here. I'm keeping my head above water, right? Or do you need a little bit more emotional support? Or do you need a little bit of logic and data? Like, hey, remind me why I'm here and why we're doing this again, right? So I think that's so important in a coaching relationship, of course, but if you're just working on yourself, right? Checking in with yourself, it can't be grace every single time or you're never going to change. So I think that action input expectation is so powerful with changing behaviors.
Yep.
But then also once they're so we're helping them with drawing the connections mentally, right? We're helping show them wins that they didn't realize were wins. Hey, yeah, you haven't lost weight, but you haven't gained weight and you're eating 600 more calories a day. Wow, right? And now they're starting to look for those things. So that's part of it is we're helping them look for it. But also just by them doing the journey themselves, they now are thinking differently, right? They're realizing, oh, wow, I was so scared to try to work out with a barbell or to go to step foot in a gym for the first time. 6 months ago, I couldn't even do that. And now this is just part of my life. How cool. Like their confidence and their self-efficacy grows to the point that they now believe in themselves to tackle other things in their life. So it just kind of naturally develops too as we are pushing them. We're meeting them where they are and we're pushing them a little out of their comfort zone as we go.
I love it. I need to know how you guys use affirmations for yourself or for your clients because that has not done shit for me. And I would love to learn something from
That's fun. Well, okay, so I am like the naysayer of all things woo-woo, and then I'm like, I'm really just in the closet. I actually am like, well, tell me, I just want to understand the whys. I believe that this stuff works because I've seen it work, but I need to know scientifically why. And like what you said, our thoughts become our words become our actions. I believe very much there's something to, hey, if I'm saying something in the affirmative, if I am saying I am this,
It's like an
eventually
RAS type of thing.
my actions are going to start to follow, right? If somebody says, oh, I'm a night owl, I'm a binge eater, I'm this or I'm that, it's like, hey, even if you don't believe it right now, maybe we're bullet pointing 3 things a day. And you're saying, who's the person you're wanting to become? Let's say it in that tense. Hey, I am somebody who nourishes my body because it feels good. I'm somebody who lifts weights. I'm like, just again, entertain me. And maybe let's try it for 1 month and a few times a week. Can you pick 3 things? They're not things I'm telling you have to do. But picture like, okay, Joe 2.0, what's that guy look like? I want you to picture him. Now write it as if you're him. What are a couple of things that guy shows up as? Because again, eventually, if you can start to imagine yourself as that person, now you're having less like cognitive dissonance. You're not playing this mental tug of war against your own identity almost.
Yeah, no, I love this. And what I love or find interesting is that all the answers that we need or our clients need are always inside of us. We just need to simply pull them out. And so what I think we're doing there is in a form like what I'll do is I'll ask my clients, like, hey, who must you become today to achieve what you want tomorrow? And then I take them through a few questions to help them think through that. And like every single time they know the answers. And so I'm like, awesome, let's start being that person. And now, so they just start acting in accordance with who they have to be. And I think that's almost kind of relatable. So thanks for making that connection for me. I
I
love
think
it.
too, it's like in the moment, right? Like if
Yeah.
I have clients like Jess said, maybe they're like, well, I don't know what affirmations or I don't know what I need. Spend a week with your thoughts and see what comes up. Write it down. Write down that negative thought of like, oh, I can't do this, or this is too much work, or I'm too stressed, or I can't go to the gym because XYZ, I'm tired, whatever. Write those down. And then, like you said, this is where visualization can tie in really well.
Yeah.
Who is that person? What does she do every day? What does she do that you're not doing? I'm not asking you to be her right now, but what are 1 or 2 things you can do this week? What are 2 things that you can reframe and say? And you can ask Jess and anyone on my team, clients, whatever. I say it's on my phone background. Be absolutely delusional. There is nothing. And honestly, my husband when it's funny, when we first started dating, he would be like, this chick is off her rocker. Like she thinks she can just do anything. But now
She is.
his mindset is totally shifted. If I say, hey, I want to do this and I'm going to do it, he's like, of course you are, right? Like stop delusional with me now because he's like, I can see the power in just being like, I'm already there.
Well, again, you say that and then you really do act on those. Something as simple as Jill recently moved and now she's a skier. She lives in Boise and now she skis. And I've been skiing with her before and I'm like, what do you mean? She's literally taking lessons, buying the skis, when she says she's going to do something, again, it's not just saying it. It's when you start to believe it. Now you're like, okay, I'm going to start to do the things that it requires to become a skier or to do whatever the goal is, right?
Yeah. Keep the promises you make to yourself. And I think that's a skill or a trait that is learned and can be learned by everybody. And
Yes.
oh my God, I think it's probably one of the most powerful ones. Because like you think it, you believe it, you go do it, and then you turn it into reality. And it's just so amazing. Wow. Good for you for skiing too.
Yeah.
There's potatoes.
Like Jess said, if I'm like lingering back or falling and I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm not doing backflips in front of these people the next time I ski with them. And that's it. I'm like, this is my mission until I do it.
There's also something to be said about doing things with people that are better than you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Versus staying in your comfort zone.
It's so beautiful, right? You're surrounded by people who want to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
And obviously coaching is walking the walk. A lot of talking the talk, walking the walk too.
I'm kind of reverting back on topics here when it comes to like mindset stuff, but I want to point this out because we're talking about do more, go hard. If you say you have a goal, go do it, right? We also very much utilize the tool of like, let's assess what are you willing and ready to do and what are you not willing and not ready to do, because that's also okay, right? Like when it comes to owning your choices, there's not a right or wrong. We're not, as your coaches, going to push you and say, oh, you must be ready to sign up. It's like, if we have somebody who's like, yeah, I'm not ready to tackle my sleep patterns yet. Okay, cool. What are you willing to work on? That's the stuff we're going to facilitate and help you grow. Someday you might come back to me and say, okay, I want to work on this other thing. But if you can own that, then it feels really good and powerful when you're working towards your goals because you can let yourself off the hook for the things that you're not actually willing to change yet. Again, reducing this mental tug of war of thinking I should be. There's not a I should or I shouldn't. It's like, am I willing to right now or am I not willing to? And that's okay either way.
Yeah. And the good news is when somebody comes to us and they're ready for change, there's at minimum 5 to 10 foundational things we can change. And so if they're not ready for their sleep, let's just look at the next one. Like, I love what you said about doing the smallest thing that creates the biggest change, but also like let's find the path of least resistance among those small things. So what feels easiest now? And then build a little confidence, get a little better, do the next harder thing after that. I mean, God, you guys are the real deal. Very clearly, since day one that I saw and heard of Jill and Jess, you clearly are too. So, guys, thanks so much for coming on. I know you have your own podcast, so where can people go listen to you two just banter and bitch about God knows what? And then where else can they spend some time with you?
Our podcast is Reality Check with Jess and Jill. So we release podcasts weekly now. We do occasional what we call unhinged podcasts, which people tend to love. It's basically, obviously women will understand this, when our cycles sync up and we're both just have a couple screws loose on the same week, we're like, cool, unhinged episode this week. And then her Instagram is Jessie R-E Fit, and mine is Jillian R Fit. So we talk shit anywhere we can get our voice out there.
Awesome. And I think you're both super good at content. So they'd be fun pages to go follow. So guys, check them out.
Thanks.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us.